Welcome to The Honest Media. Today is Thursday, January 18th, 2017. I'm your host, Tom Pappert, of course, joined by Craig Chrysler. There's a lot to talk about this week. We have Trump's fake news awards. We have all kinds of things happening with the media, with the GOP, where there may be a government shutdown on the horizon. But first, we do have a special guest this week. We have somebody actually from Libertarian presidential candidate Adam Kokesh's political team. We have Angela Fisher Owens, and if for those not in the loop, Adam was arrested just the other day in Texas. We're going to let Angela tell us a little bit more about exactly what's going on with Adam right now.
Hi, thanks for having me on. I appreciate being able to get any of this information out there as much as possible. So a couple of days ago, Adam was driving through Texas, and he was pulled over for having an expired paper plate, having not yet received the actual physical plate to put onto an RV. And the officer was kind and interested. They chatted about Marineisms, and he was issued a warning and sent on his way. Okay. About 40 minutes after, just before he was going to reach the state border into Oklahoma, he was again pulled over with very little explanation. They said that they pulled him over for speeding 9 miles over the posted speed limit. But honestly, they apparently changed the speed limit at that particular spot on the highway because he would have been one under had they not. So there's some debate there. And they tried to pull him out of the RV for a routine speeding stop. And Adam was, very cautious of where this was going.
Right.
They eventually forced him out of the RV, and 3 new police officers showed up again for a routine speeding stop. And then shortly thereafter, a new police officer with the K-9 unit showed up, and they walked the K-9 unit around the RV. All of this is being videotaped by Adam, who was traveling alone, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. So now my question is, there was a lot of rumors. Was this at all drug related? Did they find drugs? I want to make sure we get this information out there because a lot of people on the internet are saying that that is the real reason he was arrested. Is that true?
So they have 4 charges.
Okay.
There was no visible mark of the K-9 unit, so I'm not inclined to necessarily believe it. And Adam contends that there was no contraband available. So they have 2 charges. One was a Schedule 1, one is a Schedule 2, one is marijuana, and a tampering with evidence charge. And I think it's pretty obvious from the video that he was exceptionally cognizant of what he was allowed to do and what he wasn't allowed to do and not pushing any limits. So and also at this point, Adam hasn't been provided with any evidence of charges, any paperwork, nothing regarding why they took him. So we have the internet, we can see what the charges are, but he doesn't have any information and hasn't been provided anything other than what we've told him from what we can gather outside of the jail.
Okay. And we have a statement from Adam, actually, that you were kind enough to send me. I'll go ahead and read some of that now for people sitting at home. What has occurred to me in the last 24 hours was a gross miscarriage of justice. I have not been presented with any paperwork regarding my arrest. In court, I was denied my request to receive it. The criminal officers who are guilty of an unlawful arrest will be held accountable. It is a sign of strength of the freedom movement that the government is resorting to such drastic tactics to keep libertarians out of the debate. Thank you to everyone who offered or pledged support. Thank you for all the calls and the prayers and the love you sent. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of you who fight the tyranny of government. And of course, for those playing at home, Adam Kokesh is running for the Libertarian ticket to be for president in 2020. He's already started his campaign, and he is running on the platform of the peaceful dissolution of the federal government. Angela, I wonder if you could tell us what is the latest from Adam that you have as of this morning?
As of this morning, he still hasn't had an official hearing of any kind. They had us scheduled this morning at 8:30 and then turned us down at the door, and that was to negotiate bail. They did set a bail, and it's $76,500
Okay.
We want to obviously negotiate that down, considering they haven't provided any information or evidence that they're even going to continue to file charges.
Right.
So anyway, they turned us down, so that's where we are today. We're hoping to be able to get another date on their calendar.
Okay, and so what you were telling me earlier that Adam, he is an unconventional person. He is currently running for president, traveling the country in an RV. He is an unconventional person. How is he handling this arrest from a legal perspective?
There's a few different things, but I'm going to share something with you that we haven't yet told anyone.
Okay.
Adam is he's very unhappy. He believes this is a truly unlawful arrest. His words to me this morning were, "We will not negotiate with terrorists. Let's take the bail money that they want me to pay and give it to the Libertarian Party as a donation."
Wow. So that's talking, you said it was $76,000. Of course, you need 10% of that. So we're talking almost $10,000 that instead of giving to the state of Texas, Adam wants to give that directly to the Libertarian Party.
Correct.
Wow. That is a bold gamble. So I wonder, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I know you're obviously busy coordinating the response to this. Are you down on the ground in Texas now?
No, actually, Ben Farmer is down on the ground, and unless this escalates even further, I probably won't be.
Okay, which hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully you can stay exactly where you are, and Adam can get out. I just wonder, what is the feeling? What is the feeling there on the ground? Does it seem like this is all trumped up charges? Does it seem like they have a vendetta against Adam? What is your perspective on this?
Yeah, actually, and there was a rally this morning, probably it's still happening, from 10:30 to 1:30. A group of people on their own went to the courthouse to demand that he be released.
Wow.
Are probably still there. It's a nationwide outcry to release him, or
Absolutely.
hashtag finally free Adam.
Right. Well, I want to give you our final moment here. We've got about a minute left. Tell our viewers what they can do to help, how they can get involved, where they can go for information.
Okay, so thefreedomline.com is where we are posting every piece of current and relevant information as the story progresses. And all you have to do is pop on thefreedomline.com, and it will give you everywhere we need people to be, what we need help with, and all of the regular updates.
Excellent. So that is thefreedomline.com. If you Google that, it should pop up. You can also find, of course, Adam's book, all kinds of good information about him. Well, thank you so much, Angela, for coming on the show, and I really hope from the bottom of my heart that Adam is able to be freed and can put this and yet another chapter of his dealings with the state behind him.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. We'll be right back after this break. You're watching The Honest Media. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Angela of Adam Kokesh's team. I apologize if you couldn't hear it on Facebook. We had some technical difficulties. It was very, very quiet. You would have had to really crank it up to hear it appropriately, but those of you on headphones, I'm sure you were completely able to do that. But as we said at the beginning of the show, Adam Kokesh has been arrested. You will be able to find the details at thefreedomline.com. That is his official website. There is arrested on drug charges in Texas. Allegedly, he alleges that they are not truthful charges. You can go read about it more online, and as always, you will be able to watch it tonight at 6 p.m. and of course tomorrow on YouTube. For the rest of the episode, I want to start, and Craig, I know you missed it last night because there was some 3D chess being played when it comes to the fake news awards. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people are like Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer were freaking out on InfoWars last night. It was the most funny thing I've seen in my life. Alex broke out his Bernie Sanders impersonation. Uh-huh. I won't do that. I could do it way better, but I won't do that. But President Trump, for the better part of 2 weeks, built up these fake news awards like nobody's business.
Yeah.
And I mean, people were thinking it was going to be like broadcast live from the White House, and like every cable news was going to be there. Like, people were really thinking it was going to be like this massive red carpet event.
Yeah.
And once I started noticing this, I thought, wouldn't it be hilarious if Trump just posted it on Twitter? And that's exactly what he did. He waited until like the minute he said it will be done by 7 o'clock, I think is what he said. And he waited until like 6:59 struck 7, put it up on Twitter. He must have had it scheduled.
Now, he's a master of playing the media, so
Absolutely.
that's great.
I mean, for the last 2 weeks, the media has been totally enamored with this fake news awards. They haven't been able to shut up about it. In fact, the gestalt yesterday, what everybody was saying about it was, oh, it's going to be a huge failure. They don't even have it planned out. They don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be horrible. Nobody's going to cover it. It's all a bunch of lies. And then what happened, Craig? The second it went up, Trump tweeted out the link, crashed the GOP website.
Oh, really?
So many people tried to access it. The GOP put out a tweet saying, we built onto our servers, we anticipated a giant spike, and it still crashed our website.
Nice.
So this is two things. Three things, really. One, Trump got to do his stated goal of talking about the fake news. And we're going to get into these, hopefully at the end of this segment, maybe in the next segment, but it's a good list of very fake news. I mean, the CNN is one of the best ones on there. So on one end of it, yes, Trump got to do that. But on the other end of it, he also made the media look stupid. I was joking last night, who really is the winner of the fake news awards? Every single journalist who reported on it.
Yeah.
Because they all made it sound like it was going to be this giant thing, and it was literally just an article on a website. So they really, they have egg just all over their face on this one. They look just the stupidest can be. And then the third part of this victory that President Trump pulled off is the GOP now understands exactly how much more powerful President Trump is than they are.
Yeah.
This is a national website. I've had a website go down when it got 300,000 hits in an hour. I mean, that's a lot of traffic for us normal people. But President Trump has enough power in his Twitter account, has enough PR clout in the world that just tweeting out a link, I mean, I can't imagine. I'm thinking tens of millions of hits in those first 2 seconds, and it went down. So the GOP now realizes that they are they're not the boss here.
Yeah.
If they didn't know before, they know now.
Well, he is the president after all, so.
That's right. But they never seem to really get that sometimes,
Yeah,
especially the GOP. Allegedly, right up until the end, Reince Priebus was not very eager to help Trump, and he was convinced Trump was going to lose. Some of this comes from the Michael Wolff book, so it's all lies. But allegedly, they were all hatching plans on the GOP was going to blame Trump, Trump was going to blame the GOP, all this stuff in the event that they lost. So maybe this will make the GOP understand exactly what they've got.
Who's the boss?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the GOP is so lucky. Look at the bland saltine cracker group of candidates they lined up for us, where the most interesting one was probably Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And then Trump came
And in
along.
the past, Romney, McCain.
Oh, God, yeah, Romney. Ugh.
Terrible people.
I mean, really, the last interesting one was probably Herman Cain, but of course they destroyed him with sex allegations, and he didn't have the mental wherewithal to fight back like
Mr. 999.
Mr. 999.
Yeah.
I mean, he was very popular, but they really did him in by prancing out those women. Gloria Allred, like the communist flag, came out and marched a procession of women who said that Herman Cain molested them or whatever it was. So. I would say that maybe this is my favorite maneuver Trump has made in a long time. This is right up there with the time when he told everybody he was going to do a speech about Obama's birth certificate, and then instead he brought up a bunch of disabled veterans to endorse him.
Yeah.
This is right up there with that because he trolled the media so expertly. I mean, I can't even imagine what the GOP's numbers look like after this. I would wager probably more people went to this website than exist in the United States. I would believe
I
that.
haven't even got to see him yet, so I'm anxious to hear him.
If you tried last night, the website was down for about 2.5 hours. It was a long time. And then it started coming back, and it was intermittent. You were able to get it on a couple different websites, on the archive.is and archive.org. Even archive.org, Craig, the Internet Archive, it crashed.
Oh, God.
Because so many people were trying to, oh crap, I can't get to the GOP website. Let's try the archive. They crashed the archive website.
Wow.
That's how popular this was last night. So I guess we'll start going through the list here, and we'll put it up on screen as we go along, and hopefully they don't get too far ahead of me so we don't spoil anything. We'll probably have to take this into the next segment, but stick with me here. The number one, I don't know if this is the winner or if 11 is the winner, because there's 11 total in the list. But number one, possibly the winner, possibly the lowest on the totem pole, it's a big one. New York Times' Paul Krugman claimed on the day of President Trump's historic landslide victory that the economy would never recover. Krugman, the same guy who said that we need an alien invasion to jumpstart the economy. The headline is, Paul Krugman says markets will never recover from Trump. Dow hits record high. For those playing at home, it took less than 1 week most recently for the Dow to get from 25 to 26,000. Mm-hmm. By the way, it took 1,400 days for the same 1,000 feet to happen in the Obama administration.
And a lot of them Democrats were telling people to sell all their stocks and cash in their 401k. Eichenwald,
that seizure-prone little weirdo, he actually, believe it or not, sold his children's college fund and said that the stocks would crash in a Trump economy and it was the responsible thing to do. I hope his kids enjoy that as they are taking out student loans in about 5 to 8 years. We got to take a moment off. You're watching The Honest Media. I'm Tom Pappert here with Craig Chrysler. Welcome back to The Honest Media. I am Tom Pappert, joined by, of course, Craig Chrysler. We're still talking about the Fake News Awards. Number 2 is a doozy. I love how he puts this. You can tell Trump had direct input on this list. Just tell me if this doesn't sound like our president. ABC Brian News' Brian Ross chokes and sends markets in a downward spiral with false report. Doesn't that just sound like Trump said it? For those who don't remember this, basically, Brian Ross said this whole report on Trump and Russia. He got the dates wrong. He did all kinds of stuff wrong. Like this is a whole big thing. And all of the media repeated it, by the way. So there's a lot of grumbling about collusion in the mainstream media after this. But anyway, so Brian Ross did totally false Trump report. He ended up having to actually retract it. But right after he said it, as happened, the stock market, it didn't tank. But it went way down. I mean, it went down, let's look at that, about 400 points within like a minute. I mean, that's a lot. And especially when we have been enjoying this Trump economy with the massive, massive gains, to suddenly have a dip, that got a lot of people going, whoa, what's going on? And then when it came out that it was because of Brian Ross's fake news, I mean, people were mad. Imagine being an investor when that happened.
Yeah, justifiably. He could have had charges pressed against him.
You would think so. Yeah. I mean, it was a fake news report. He got his facts totally wrong. You know, there's a difference between doing like what Alex Jones does, which is as soon as the information comes in, you push it out, and doing what ABC News does. He doesn't even write his own news. He's got a team. You know? He's got news writers and copy editors and fact checkers and an entire massive industry behind him to try to help him with this stuff, and he still got it wrong. So I think he deserves number 2 on the list.
Yeah.
I think that's a good spot for Brian Ross. Number 3, CNN falsely reported that candidate Donald Trump and his son Donald J. Trump Jr. had access to hacked documents from WikiLeaks. And they add in here, CNN botches dates, incorrectly reports Trump campaign had WikiLeaks sneak peek. And if you remember this, you know, this was just a couple months ago, and it's interesting how, I mean, all of these fake news things, like people thought he was going to come up with stuff he didn't like oh, well, so-and-so at ABC said a mean thing about me. All of these are things that they legitimately got 180 degrees wrong.
Yeah.
And this one specifically, they said that there was an email that showed Don Jr. and Trump getting an email from Julian Assange's team at WikiLeaks like 3 days before the WikiLeaks went out. ABC, I mean, not ABC, I apologize, CNN ran with this, posted it everywhere. Other people started reporting what CNN reported. It was on BuzzFeed. It was on all the major ones, all the major fake news websites. Nobody actually double-checked the date of the WikiLeaks email that is now public. Nobody did this.
Yeah.
And so you go and you look at the actual email, and it was 3 days after. So it's such a joke.
Yeah.
It's such a
and
joke.
Who cares if the guy even sent him an email in the first place?
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Julian Assange is a journalist, but the fact that they just, they made it sound insidious. They made it sound like Trump was doing something wrong by saying that he got the WikiLeaks before anybody else.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is, and so, we didn't have like a stock market plunge when that one happened, but it's still fake news.
Yeah.
Still fake news.
Trying to make mountains out of molehills.
And now tell me, the Democrats were very upset when Republicans got this wrong 8 years ago. Yet, when it's President Trump, I didn't know about this one. I had to research it because it is a big leftist talking point, and it's totally fake news. Number 4, Time falsely reported that President Trump removed a bust of Martin Luther King Jr. from the Oval Office.
I remember that.
And you remember it?
Yeah.
'Cause I don't even remember.
The next day there was a picture with it in there.
Right. Let's put that picture up on screen. We've got Trump sitting next to it, and he's like caressing Martin Luther King's head. And that's the picture. I'm guessing that's the picture. And it's actually, I believe that's a painting, a portrait of, I'm not entirely sure.
That was shortly after he got in office, right?
Yes, that was not long after. And if you remember, this mirrors some fake news that Republicans were responsible for, but also Obama did not help. We had a bust of Churchill.
Yep.
And Obama sent it back, but it was only for repairs, and then he came back. But a lot of people think Obama only brought it back because of the public pressure. But anyway, so by the end of the Obama presidency, the bust of Churchill was back in the Oval Office. And so a lot of people said that Republicans it was fake news, that it was ever gone, blah, 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 just needed to be clean, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is legitimate fake news because the bust of Dr. King never even left.
Yeah, somebody just made that whole story up.
Exactly. Somebody said, hey, wasn't there a statue there last week? Oh my God, Trump's a racist.
Yeah.
That's the thought process
Threw
there.
it in the trash can.
Exactly. That is the thought process. Number 5, and I'm glad the Jeff Bezos Washington Post Amazon.com. I'm glad it made it on the list because
they had probably made it a few times.
CNN is the number 1 winner of the list.
Yeah,
they win the most
surprise.
awards, but. And was something interesting, MSNBC didn't actually make it this year.
Oh.
I think they can make it next year, though. If Rachel Madcow will just keep running her mouth, I guarantee you she will make it next year. But so Washington Post falsely reported the president's massive sold-out rally in Pensacola, Florida, was empty. Dishonest reporters showed picture of an empty arena hours before the crowd started pouring in. And there are some photos we've got. There's actually a Trump tweet. Maybe we can open that in a new tab and just show the tweet and kind of cycle through those photos maybe if we're lucky. You've got the original tweet by David Weigel, who... I have nothing to say about this guy. He's a piece of you-know-what. But so you've got him. He shows a couple people in the ground. And it turns out this is from hours. This is from like right after they open the doors.
Yeah.
Because Trump rallies fill fast.
Well, they were doing this with almost every rally he had. And
absolutely.
He would always be yelling at the camera.
Pan the crowd. Pan the,
yeah. They'd never show the crowd.
And Right Side Broadcasting, our friends over there, they were the only ones who do. But then, of course, Trump tweets out the photos taken by his team toward the end there. And, I mean, the place is full to the rafters, which when Trump came to Century 2 here in Wichita, Kansas, way back in March of 2016, that sounds like years ago. I guess it is now years ago.
Yeah.
When he all the way back then, it was announced with a day and a half notice, and before you know it, I mean that place was the most people I've ever seen in Century 2 in my life.
Yeah, there's people lined up at like 4 in the morning.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
Like we got there, I think it was started at 8. We got there at 6:30 because I knew what it was like. I'd been watching them online, and I told everybody I was going with, look, if you want to get there, you got to be in line. You got to get there early. You don't want to be turned away by security. You got one chance to get in there and get a seat. I got there at 6:30 in the morning. I still had to sit in the back.
Yeah.
Still had to sit in the back. We've got to take another moment off. When we come back, we have 6 more entries in the Fake News Awards. We're going to give you the context behind them and kind of talk about just what kind of president does such a thing. The Fake News Awards. I love it. We've got to take a moment off. You're watching The Honest Media. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to the Honest Media. Number 6 on the fake news awards list, which of course, Craig, that's what we've been going over these last couple segments. Number 6 is, it's a fun one. You remember all these memes? The koi. CNN falsely edited a video to make it appear President Trump defiantly overfed fish during his visit with the Japanese Prime Minister. Japanese Prime Minister actually led the way in the feeding. And I loved the memes.
Yeah, this was a big deal for a few days.
For like 3 or 4 days, they were saying Trump was disrespectful. He didn't understand Asian culture.
They totally cut out the Japanese guy.
That's the thing.
For like a day and a half, you never saw him doing it first.
And it first started appearing in memes. That's how people found out. And that is the right way to do it, because a meme is going to travel much farther than just a news article.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, for those who don't remember, President Trump visited Japan. It was when he was making his Asia trip, where he went everywhere in Asia that was relevant. Mike Pence even stood on the North Korean border and looked menacingly at them. Oh, it was an epic trip, wonderful trip. But when President Trump met with Shinzo Abe, is his name, basically, there's the ceremonial feeding of the koi fish. And basically what you do is you throw some at him and then you empty it. And that's what Abe, the prime minister, did. That's what he did. You can watch it. You've got it right here. You can actually kind of see it. And then about a second later, Trump follows and does it. However, CNN cut that out. So all you see is them both feeding the fish slowly, and then Trump dumps his bucket. So these poor obese fish are going to die of heart problems.
Yeah, they made it sound like he just killed all the fish by doing that.
They did. They made it sound like he overfed a goldfish and the goldfish stomach exploded.
Yeah.
I mean, they made it sound like this was going to start World War III and we were going to have to nuke Japan again. That's how they made it sound. But then, of course, you find out later on, no, of course, the prime minister dumped it first. It was completely fine. But for like 3 days, CNN ran with it. And man, were the memes good. There was the one like Abe would ask, hey, when are we going to nuke Japan? Trump, after we finish the koi. Abe dumps it.
Yeah.
It's really good. The next one we've got, number 7. I told you CNN is a big winner this year. I think they won 4 awards total. That's pretty good.
Good for them.
Good for that. If this were the Academy Awards, they would be the best network out there.
Yeah.
However, I'm not sure these are the awards you want to win if you were a news agency. Number 7, CNN falsely reported about Anthony Scaramucci's meeting with a Russian, but retracted it due to a significant breakdown in process. And you remember the mooch when he sued them and he got them to like instantly take it down? That was pretty good.
That guy was amazing.
I missed the mooch.
There was reports of him coming back.
Well, I haven't heard that.
Yeah, I heard it the other day. Yeah.
I am pro mooch though. I think that would be a good thing. Well, you know what he said about Steve Bannon with his own, So now that Bannon's gone, I'm thinking maybe whatever personality conflict may also be gone. And what really got him was that profanity-laced interview with, I think it was Newsweek maybe. And speaking of Newsweek, number 8 on the list. Newsweek falsely reported that the Polish First Lady, Agata Kornhauser-Duda, did not shake President Trump's hand.
Oh, Lord.
Look at the picture. President Trump shaking the lady's hand. Totally comical. Basically, later the same day, he was sharing a stage with the First Lady of Poland. Melania was also there, and the Polish president. They have a president there. President Trump shook hands with the Polish guy. Didn't shake hands with the wife. They'd shaken hands 30 minutes earlier in the same day. So CNN said that because they didn't do it in that moment, that never happened. And by the way, First Lady Kornhauser-Duda, she actually wrote on social media later that, of course, I shook his hand. President Trump treated us very well. I love President Trump. He's a great guy. He's going to be a good friend of Poland. It's a shame the media would divide us like this. CNN, Newsweek, they never retracted. They never published a correction. They never do.
This list could have been 5,000 long.
That's the thing, right?
Just in the past year.
And I can't, 2018 is not going to be better.
Yeah.
Let's just get that right. 2018, I expect journalistic integrity to go even further to the bottom.
They have nothing. They just got to make stuff up.
Exactly. There is no controversy that they can talk about. This is not the Obama years. We had lots of relevant stuff. I could go on talking about Fast and Furious for an hour now, and this is 5 years after the fact. So Trump is just not giving them the real scandals, so they have to make it up.
Yeah.
Such as number 9. You know, they're clairvoyants over at CNN. Did you know they can see the future? Because CNN falsely reported that former FBI Director James Comey would dispute President Trump's claim that he was told he was not under investigation. You remember that?
I do.
When Comey testified before Congress, and he basically just confirmed everything Trump said, and also admitted to a couple felonies.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Jeff Sessions, paging Jeff Sessions.
Yeah.
But so basically, they saw into the future, and they said, "Oh, okay."
They were making all sorts of stuff up about that whole story for a month.
Oh, they were all. Do you remember how excited they were?
Oh yeah,
The
they
Louise
thought it was.
Minch. They thought it was the end of Donald Trump.
Yeah, is that when they had the big watch parties? All the
Yep.
Democrats got.
And then like they're at the bar at 10 a.m. on a weekday, and first of all, the rest of us are like, where's your job?
Yeah.
You know? But so yeah, they were having watch parties because
and
they
were
said
all disappointed.
James Comey will turn on Trump. He's going to say Hillary did nothing wrong. But I guess they looked into the wrong timeline because they were totally wrong. And Comey backed up everything Trump said. Comey also admitted to leaking information to the press because he didn't like Trump. I mean, it is totally like the amount of information Comey admitted to is baffling.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and Anderson Cooper was just
And
about
all
in
the
tears.
Democrats are crying in their beers at the bar.
At 10 a.m. on a weekday. Hey, not saying I wouldn't enjoy it. I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
Do you work third shift? I don't. How? Do you get? Are you? They don't look. They didn't look
probably
like factory workers.
They probably took the day off just to watch it.
That implies they had a job.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They were students in the terminally unemployed welfare class. They did not ever have a job. Number 10 is another doozy with our favorite, the Carlos Slim New York Times, Carlos Slim's blog. Or is that Mark Cuban? I get them backwards. No, I think that's Carlos Slim. You know what? Actually, I want to hold this. We've got about a minute left. I want to hold this because it's a good one. And we've actually got some news later today, and we're going to get in our last segment of the show that correlates strongly with it. So I'm just going to say it has to do with climate change, and it has to do with the New York Times. And as always, it proves the New York Times is staffed by chronic liars.
Yeah. Wow.
Which it has been since what was the guy's name who won the Pulitzer Prize for covering up the crimes of Stalin? Never gave it back. New York Times never fired him. As far as they're concerned, he was an excellent journalist to this very day.
Yeah.
Got to take a moment off. You're watching The Honest Media. When we come back, we're going to finish off the fake news awards and talk about climate change. Don't forget to get a coat because it's cold outside. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Honest Media. We're going to finish talking about the fake news awards this segment. Moving on to number 10 now. And again, we previewed before, it's the New York Times. The New York Times falsely claimed on the front page that the Trump administration forced the EPA to hide a climate report. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just laughing.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember this fake news? Like on the first day, January 20th, they were saying that Trump deleted the EPA's website. And it's like, no, they were turning it over to a new administration. There's going to be some downtime. You know, it's like if a new company came in and bought every property that CNN had, every website they had, every camera they had. It's going to take a minute for the new guys to figure out what to do.
Yeah.
Anyway. So the headline was New York Times guilty of large screw up on climate change story. Basically, no, Trump didn't ever do that. Totally fabricated fake news from a made up source. Same as always. Same as always. Number 11, last but as it says here, not least, Russia collusion. Russia collusion is perhaps the greatest hoax perpetuated on the American people. There is no collusion. Trump embedded a tweet from January 5th. Well, now that the collusion with Russia is proving to be a total hoax, and the only collusion is with Hillary Clinton and the FBI/Russia, the fake news media, mainstream, and this phony new book are hitting out at every new front imaginable. They should try winning an election. Yeah. Sad. Perfect. So that is
and this is still going on.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
To this very moment.
And the only collusion, the Department of Justice, I believe, just opened up an investigation into Hillary's Russia collusion.
That's exactly right. Let's see, where is that here? From The Blaze.
But they're not talking about that on CNN.
Oh, I sincerely doubt it.
Or MSNBC.
Or any of these, or the New York Times, the Washington Compost, so on and so forth. And maybe our guys, they don't have this. In fact, I'll just send it to them as we talk about it. It's from The Blaze. The headline is, Feds announce indictment in massive bribery. It goes on here. Let me. I'm going to send this to the tech guys so we can show this. To you on screen.
There's three cases they opened up against the Clintons.
Yeah, this is Jeff Sessions. Apparently, he activated. I don't know if Trump sent out a signal through the airwaves, and all of a sudden, Sessions bot is awake.
Yes. But he said he was going to do the whole time, and he's finally following through.
A lot of people thought this was a long-term 3D chess move. I don't know. We'll have to see, because I have not. I don't have a lot of faith in Sessions.
Waited a year to open up the case. Yeah.
Well, and over the last year, he got a lot of Democrats on his side because President Trump numerous times called out Jeff Sessions. You know, where is our Justice Department? What is Jeff Sessions doing? Jeff Sessions shouldn't have recused himself. I can't believe he did that. So the media has been forced into a situation where they have to defend Jeff Sessions, who really is a 1950s dude stuck in 2018.
Yeah.
I mean, he is old school, to put it nicely. But again, this comes from The Blaze. Feds announce indictment in massive bribery scheme connected to Hillary Clinton's Uranium One deal. Without even reading it, I'll give you the background. Uranium One was this deal where a Russian company wanted to buy a significant amount of uranium that was held by an American company. Anytime that uranium is traded, because it's kind of important, we make nukes with it and other stuff.
You just can't go buy it.
You can't go to Walmart and get uranium anymore. What has happened to this country?
You can't even order it on the internet.
What has happened to this country? Anywho, so all trades of uranium have to go through this little place called the State Department. At the time, leading the State Department was none other than the reptilian Hillary Clinton. They turned on her heat lamp every morning and got it up to speed. So Hillary Clinton allegedly got a whole lot of money sent to the Clinton Foundation in exchange for approving this Uranium One deal that gave, I believe, was it 70 or 30? I know it was a significant number, it's probably here if I just read the article, significant amount of the United States supply of uranium.
And right before that, didn't Bill go over there and give a speech in Russia? And
that is how they think they did it.
And they paid him some ungodly amount of money.
200 grand if I remember right.
Yeah,
Bill Clinton took a plane to Russia. I don't know if it was the Lolita Express or not. I can't tell you. But Bill Clinton went to Russia. He gave a speech in front of some bankers. And so he got 200 grand for that, for like 15 minutes of his time. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, his wife, Hill Dog, signed off on Uranium One. So the Department of Justice announced an 11-count indictment against Mark Lambert in connection to a Russian bribery scheme involving the Uranium One sale. Lambert is the former co-president of a Maryland-based transportation company that provides services for the transportation of nuclear materials to customers in the United States and abroad. That is from the official DOJ statement. And so a lot of people think this is how, you can't go after somebody like Hillary Clinton directly. You just can't. So, you got to take down this guy, and you got to take down this guy, and you got to go here, and you got to go there, and you got to, do it one piece at a time. So a lot of people think maybe this is how it begins. There's all those rumors about the 11,000 sealed indictments. A lot of people are saying maybe this is step one of that. I don't know. We'll have to find out. The other part of this, we had something here. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, the climate change. One of the fake news was about climate change. Here's some real news about climate change.
I just call it weather.
Just weather.
Yes.
Weather does change over time. They used to
every day it changes.
Every day it does seem like that. And the weatherman never seems to get it right.
Yeah.
But just fun fact I was going to mention, weather does change over time. It used to be so warm in Great Britain, in the British Isles, they could grow wine in Scotland. Pretty cold up there.
Yeah, and we had an ice age several times.
We have
throughout the history.
Well,
of the
there
world.
Was actually just an article. New research shows. I can't pull it up or even tell them what to find it. But you're just gonna have to trust me on this one, ladies and gentlemen. New research shows. It was on Milo's website. Maybe we can pull it up for the next break. The first people in the American continent, North America, South America, were actually Caucasians.
I saw that.
Who crossed in the land bridge in the last ice age we had about 11,000 years ago. Not even that long.
Yeah.
Not even
that
long.
It gets hotter and it gets warmer.
It gets hotter, it gets colder, these things change. We've got solar flares, we got all this stuff in the solar system that impacts it. Yes, man-made.
There's a big thing called the sun that affects everything here on Earth.
Well, and one thing I don't understand why more people aren't interested in, what are the implications of instead of having fields of amber waves of grain, we have miles and miles of parking lot and roads now? Does that not in these major cities? I've read some research about this. Does that not change things a bit? So when we come back, we've got from the AFP, the article title is Worst Case Global Warming Scenarios Not Credible Study. We're going to have to hit that in the next break because there's quite a bit to it. But suffice it to say, Al Gore lied. We should all be underwater.
Yeah, we're all underwater right now.
The Statue of Liberty, you can only see her crown. Hey, that's Al Gore's future.
Yeah.
You can look outside.
That was supposed to happen like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
4. And he actually says that the cold is the warm. Just stick with me, folks. We'll be right back after the break. You're watching on The Honest Media with Tom Pappert and Craig Chrysler. Welcome back to The Honest Media. This is our final few minutes with you today, so let's jump right into it and not waste any time. The article title is Worst Case Global Warming Scenarios Not Credible Study. And I want to read just a couple paragraphs, and Craig, we can get back to talking about it. Earth's surface will almost certainly not warm up 4 or 5 degrees Celsius by 2100, according to a study released Wednesday, which, if correct, voids worst-case UN climate change predictions. Revised calculations of how greenhouse gases drive up the planet's temperature reduces the range of possible end-of-century outcomes by more than half. Researchers said in the report published in the journal Nature. Quote is, our study all but rules out very low and very high climate sensitivities, said lead author Peter Cox, professor at University of Exeter. So I find it as important to say that on this program, almost 2 years ago, we said this would happen. We don't toot our own horn all the time, but when we do, we got this nail on the head.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the fact that they all use these computer models. Anybody who's ever played a video game kind of understands how this works. You plug in a bunch of variables into these models. That's why it's a model. So it's all determined by what the scientists put into it. And if you put bad data in, you get bad data out. Think of it as running an adding machine. If the adding machine is only as good as your hand is at punching in the numbers. If you punch in the wrong numbers, you're going to get the wrong numbers out.
Yeah, a lot of the organizations had to admit that they were just putting false data in to get the results they wanted.
And there's a word for it. I can't think of it right now.
I think even NASA was doing it, and they were busted.
Yes, they were one of them. That's part of the reason President Trump cut so much of their funding. He directed their funding. I mean, he didn't actually cut their funding, but what he said is, you're going to research going to Mars. You're done researching climate change.
Yeah.
Like 90%.
You're a space organization.
Yes.
Let's go back there.
Let's start sending people other than rovers.
Private people sending rockets into space.
Exactly. Yeah. Elon Musk is better at it than our own NASA, space agency. But again, I mean, it really is. It's all about the model. What you put into the model, you get out of the model.
Yeah.
So, and we've only as a species been really monitoring climate and weather for 150, 200 years.
And I think the real models, it turned out that we'd been cooling for 20 years.
Some scientists say so, and again, but I always wonder, that is my bias. I believe that. Because if you look around, you're like, maybe we are in a warming period and now we're going into a cooling period. Just looking at how,
which is completely natural.
Right. I mean, it is. Well, we may not even know what causes it, but the fact is
the sun.
The sun, solar flares. I mean, there are so many different variables that we just don't get to talk about because all anybody ever wants to talk about is greenhouse gases.
Yeah.
That's
carbon.
Exactly.
Which makes plants grow.
Exactly. Yeah. How is all this plant food going to hurt us? If anything, I watched an interview with one scientist. You can find him on Stefan Molyneux's channel, Free Domain Radio. He has a whole series with climate scientists. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he actually said that our production of CO2 is saving us from another ice age. because it's the only thing that's doing it. And you can read the science. You have to read it from both sides. And I personally believe maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. Maybe maybe we are getting some climate change, but it's going to be so negligible. It's like, you know. I mean, again, like we said a minute ago, you used to be able to grow and cultivate grapes for wine in Britain. It's cold up there, fellas.
Yeah.
I mean, it is cold now. As bad as it's been in Kansas, that's what it's like there for like most of the year. So, we can't complain. So anyway, I wanted to get that out there because as we said earlier, in the fake news awards, this was part of it. That allegedly President Trump is hiding, censoring, telling the EPA, no climate change, quit worrying about climate change, don't even bring up the word. And it's not true, but not only is it not true, the best way to do this, and I say this about everything, from Nazism to white nationalism to climate change, the best way to get these phony ideologies to go away is to show people exactly how stupid they are.
Yep.
That's the best way to do it. So since this is our last segment, I want to get to some happy news. This comes to us from Bloomberg. U.S. jobless claims plunge to lowest weekly tally since 1973.
Holy moly.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. And even though Trump is a racist, black unemployment is at its all-time low in U.S. history, recorded. I believe. Yeah.
Since probably the days of slavery, I would say. I mean, let's be honest here. And there's a reason his black approval rating among African Americans is skyrocketing.
Yeah.
And
even though they call him a racist every other day.
Well, but here's the deal.
And he's throwing Martin Luther King's bust in the trash. Yeah.
Allegedly. Even though he's got photos of where he's like, hanging out with Martin Luther. Anyway, you remember, who was that? Was that Al Sharpton who gave him the NAACP award for hiring blacks? I think it was Al Sharpton. Somebody at home can look that up and correct me. It was a black civil rights leader, though, and it was in the mid-'80s. So that's the thing that happened. But these jobless claims, lowest tally since 1973, that is important. Basically, because we don't tell the truth in this country. We're all the time hiding our statistics, making it sound better. The PR guy says call it this. But essentially, the way this works out is the official unemployment rate is now at 4.1%, the lowest since 2000. And that is, right at the end of the big 90s boom.
And with any of these numbers, I've always doubled them.
That's the thing. Yep. Yeah, that's the thing. And even Trump says that. He says, I criticized it in the campaign, so we can't take this as gospel, but it does give us a frame of reference.
Yep.
And the thing is, even these doctored numbers, Trump's doctored numbers are, and doctored using the same method that Bush and Obama used, mind you, much better.
Yeah.
So again, if we're taking double that, we say 8.2. Well, under Obama, he always had it around 5.96, and people said that was wonderful. If that translates to 12% unemployment,
I think it was actually tripled. You had to triple it under Obama.
I would believe so. Yeah. Because basically what this number gives us, and it's a terrible, terrible way, but the way we know it's getting better is because the welfare rolls are also going down. We talked about that in last week's episode. But basically the way this works is, say you got fired from a factory, you've been unemployed for 18 months, you're miserable, you're sick, you're tired, you feel horrible because you can't support your family, you mentally check out, you're no longer looking for a job, you have unengaged from society. That person is statistically employed.
No, really?
Because he's not looking for a job
anymore. That's true.
So he is statistically employed. And so whether he's on welfare or not, he is statistically employed.
Yep.
That is how they consider that man. And the thing is, though, welfare rolls have been going down quarter after quarter after quarter. So if people aren't getting welfare and they're not looking for a job, either they figured out how to live with zero income or they've got a job.
Yeah.
But you've got to that's how it works in America. They never just give you the data. You have to go find it and piece it together and come up with an image in your mind. So congratulations, President Trump. It turns out all you needed to have America be great again was to have a guy in office who just kind of loves the place.
Yeah, a real president that wanted to do
make
something
things
good
better.
with the country.
And who loves the country? That's it's amazing. President Trump, the legislative victories, he's had 80-some bills passed, 22 regulations removed for every new regulation imposed. These are all really important things, but I think what we've learned here is to really have America be great again, all we needed is a guy who kind of loves the place, who doesn't hate America.
Imagine that, huh?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That's all we had to have. Just a guy who doesn't hate this place.
And acts like an actual president.
And acts like an
like
actual
he
president.
has power.
Exactly.
Instead of a cuck bowing to
every other world leader. Yeah. Hey, at least Obama never vomited on him like the first Bush did.
Yeah.
That's an all-time worst. So anyway, I suggest everybody at home go check out the Fake News Awards. We're going to post it here on Facebook as soon as the episode is over. You can actually read at the end of it, there are a list of 10 really good accomplishments that President Trump was able to do in 2017 as well, because the GOP, like us, likes to leave you smiling. And as always, we're the Honest Media. We will be back next week, same time, same place.